All right, well, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and get started. If somebody wants to join us a little later, that's okay. I am Ernie Garcia. I am a Houston real estate attorney. I focus on landlord-tenant matters. And so I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts of landlord-tenant law. And any questions you happen to have, I'm happy to answer them. There are multiple services out there. I don't push any one service, but sometimes when you purchase rental management software, it comes with that service. The credit bureaus sometimes have these kinds of services. Zillow, for example, is a popular company that offers this service. There are tons of options out there. I recommend you use at least one. At least one. Some of them do, yeah. They'll let you know if your tenant has ever been evicted. They'll let you know what their credit history is, and sometimes they'll let you know, pretty far back, have they ever been sued before? One of the easy things you can do is call an employer. I don't know how many times I hear from landlords that people show up with fake pay stubs. You know how easy it is to make a pay stub? Super easy. And it's like, I could say I make all sorts of money and show it to you and you're like, oh wow, that's a lot of zeros. I'm gonna give you the keys to my most valuable possession, my home. Bad idea. Don't just do the eyeball test. You wanna do screening. And then, if you get a feeling, just like Spidey taught us, your Spidey sense starts tingling, think about that. Go with your gut, because I don't know how many times landlords have told me, I had a bad feeling about it, but I did it anyway. There was something about that facial tattoo that I should have thought there's something there, and I did it anyway. Oh well, now I've lost 6 months of rent. Lesson learned. But again, screening, do it all the time. Well, I don't recommend that, although the lease that you sign probably says something to the effect of, if I'm inspecting the property, I don't have to give you notice. I can just show up when it is reasonable, and if I'm in a peaceful manner, I can just show up. I don't think that's great customer service. I think it's best, give them a call, use the thing, right? Give them a call, give them a heads up, a 24-hour notice, and then be reasonable with them, especially if they're good tenants, right? If they say, grandma's coming, it's her 110th birthday, we'd really, really rather not it be interrupted by a work crew coming in and doing stuff. Is it okay that you wait a couple days? That sounds reasonable. Where it becomes unreasonable is when they say things like, no, you're not coming in until I say. Or I'm working that day and I don't want anybody bothering me, so no, you can't come in. Or I changed the locks, so you're not coming in. My property. Problem. All those are problems, because you as the owner should have open and reasonable and peaceful access to your property.
Like a probation for them, like if it's feel like you're fit.
Well, you couldn't call it probation. You couldn't do it like probation, because then the 12 months wouldn't be in stone, right? You could do that if you sign a 3-month lease, I guess. No, I don't recommend that. But the lease should already guarantee that you as a landlord have access to inspect. Well, it depends on the lease you use. If you're using the Texas Realtors lease and you haven't modified it by getting cute with the special provisions, then yes, it does. Section 14 is excellent for that, and you should use it. But you should, even though you don't have to, give a little heads up. I recommend it. It's good customer service. If they put up a wall, you immediately send a notice of default. Say, look, my lease gives me access. You've denied me access. You got to fix that. Don't do it again, because if they do it enough, now it's grounds for termination. I go by the 3 strikes and you're out rule, right? If it has nothing to do with rent, but they've violated the lease 3 times, you might have good grounds to get rid of them. All right.
Landlords, I want to talk to you about an exciting project that will be coming out in the month of September. I'm super excited about it. If you're interested in knowing more, there's a printed link here on the screen that you can type in, or check out the description of this video and you'll see a link that you can click to learn more about Landlording Pro.
All right, let's keep jumping. Track your rent. You'd be surprised how many landlords can't tell me right now how much money each of their properties is making. They're like, well, they deposit the money into the account and when I see it there, I'm happy with it. If you're not tracking your income, how do you know if you're making money? You probably are losing money if you're not properly tracking it. Here's another thing that tracking does. When you do this, there's one payment, here's another payment, here's another payment, and another payment, and another payment. This is the worst way to collect payments, with gaps, right? Because this represents 8 months worth of rent. Here's month 1, they took a break at month 2, they paid month 3, they caught up, but they didn't pay any late fees, more fees, repairs they didn't pay for, and then here, again, skipped a month, they paid that month, they caught up. If you're leaving gaps in your collection, not only are you losing money, you are condoning terrible behavior. Don't do this, it's a problem, right? It's not stable. Instead, do it like this, right? So let me show you how you should collect rent. As soon as money comes in, it gets tracked. And if there's unpaid money in any given month, the next time you collect money, it gets tracked. And so there's never, ever, ever a gap. In fact, if on any given month there's a gap, you should be sending a notice to vacate. You should be letting them know you are in default for non-payment of rent. Because if you're using the Texas Realtors lease, and you probably are, you may be doing that, Section 8 is the application of funds clause. It is gold. Because the application of funds clause says, it doesn't matter what you say on your rent payment. For July, rent only, not applicable to anything else. Doesn't matter. You take those funds, if they owe you late fees, repairs, old deposits that you didn't collect, pet fees, because now they got another dog and no valid justification for it, all that goes first. If there's anything left, it goes to rent. And if there's a rent balance, you send them a notice to vacate for non-payment of rent. Because you can't evict for those 5 things, but you can evict for non-payment of rent. If you are money coming in first to the oldest debt, you're doing it right. If you're leaving gaps, you're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong.
Landlords, as always, we welcome you to follow us on our Instagram page. If you're not a member yet, join us on Facebook. And if you enjoy what you see here, give us a thumbs up. Click that like button. We enjoy that very much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing.
You can't deny them because they lack a social security number, but you can deny them because you cannot verify their creditworthiness. If you have a standard and you say you have to hit a certain credit score for eligibility that you apply to everybody, if that credit score cannot be confirmed, you can use that as a basis of simply saying, I cannot, you do not qualify based on this criteria. No. If they are an adult, they must sign the lease and they must be screened. Yes, any adult, even an adult child, unless they're a disabled person, even an adult child, my 20-year-old kid living with me in a rental, gotta sign the lease, gotta go through screening. Because how many times does grandma sign the lease and her grandson and his girlfriend and their buddy, they're the ones who live there. Grandma doesn't even live there, but they're using grandma's credit because they have no credit. Every adult residing on the premises must sign the lease, must be screened.
So we cannot deny them just because they don't have social, but we can deny them because of nothing to do. So after that, credit and nothing.
That's right. If they don't meet income threshold, if they don't meet credit threshold, if they don't meet criminal or employment threshold, have a set criteria that you use for everybody uniformly. Not, well, I use this criteria for this kind of person. Federal violation. Don't do that. Everybody gets the same criteria. Yeah. Generally speaking, the tenant is responsible for repairs that are caused due to their negligence. They're not responsible for repairs caused from normal use or normal wear and tear. So for example, if when they came into the lease, the carpet was 5 years old, and 3 years later, that carpet is ruined, after 8 years, carpet doesn't have a life. And so the fact that it's ruined is meaningless. It needed to be replaced anyway. It may have needed to be replaced at year 6. Carpet doesn't last forever, so you can't say, oh my God, I had to replace the whole house with the carpet. You tenant owe me the whole carpet for the whole house. No, that's normal use, normal wear and tear. You cannot assess that. Bullet holes in one of the walls, that's not normal use, right? And so that you can charge to them.
Like stains on the carpet that they that would be
That's why you're there at month 3 and month 9, because you cannot rely on your tenants to do it. And for those who say, well, I haven't inspected my house in 3 years, and that filter hasn't been changed in 3 years. You wonder why you're paying $5,000 to $10,000 to replace a unit that you could have maintained yourself. Don't assume your tenant's going to do it. Be there every 6 months at least. You can, but I go so far as recommending to my landlords, don't even let them cut the grass.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
If you can pay for it, roll it into the rent. Take that off. They won't do it, and they won't do it the way you like. I'm going to jump to the last one. It says, ask for help and find a mentor. If you don't have if you're new to the game and you don't have someone who you can go to ask these kinds of questions, wink, wink, he's right here. If you don't have somebody like me, find somebody like that. There are plenty of people out there, people who do this kind of thing and have done it for decades. People like me who serve clients, realtors, other investors. Find somebody, ask those questions. Don't assume anything. Make sure you're constantly learning, constantly have access to information, and you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine.